Commander Elena Vasquez stood at the observation deck of the Terra's Fist, watching the amber sun of Kepler 442b cast long shadows across the alien battlefield below. The war had raged for 3 standard years now, and today would mark its end, one way or another. The Zephyrians were unlike anything humanity had encountered in their centuries of galactic expansion. Standing 12 feet tall on their hind legs, they possessed the raw strength of Earth's extinct megafauna, combined with an intelligence that had built cities from living coral and weapons that could slice through quantum steel. Their civilization had flourished for millennia before humans ever left their cradle world. Yet they had never ventured beyond their home system. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Torres approached, his voice tight with exhaustion. "Final count shows 14,000 Zephyrian warriors remaining in the valley. Our forces number 8,000. Elena nodded grimly. The mathematics of war had never been kind to humanity, but they had learned to excel despite the odds. "And their great alpha? Still alive. Our intelligence suggests he's leading the final charge personally." The Great Alpha, Korthak the Unyielding, as the translation protocols rendered his name. He had united every clan on Kepler 442b under a single banner for the first time in their recorded history. The reason was simple. Humanity's arrival had been interpreted not as first contact, but as an invasion by lesser beings who dared to walk upright. Elena remembered the early diplomatic attempts. Ambassador Chen had spent months learning their complex pheromone-based language, trying to establish peaceful relations. The response had been swift and brutal. Chen's head delivered to the human settlement in a crystalline box, along with a message that roughly translated to, "False walkers must crawl or die." What the Zephyrians hadn't understood was that humanity's greatest strength had never been their physical prowess or their technology. It was their ability to adapt, to learn, and to turn disadvantage into victory through sheer stubborn determination. "Sir," Torres continued, "the neural combat link is ready. All squad leaders are synchronized." Elena felt the familiar tingle as the quantum entanglement field connected her mind to every human soldier on the battlefield. It was technology the Zephyrians couldn't comprehend, the ability for thousands of warriors to think and act as one, while maintaining individual initiative. 8,000 minds sharing tactical data in real time, responding to threats before they fully materialized. Below, the Zephyrian army began its advance. Even from orbit, Elena could see the Great Alpha at their head, his bioluminescent war markings visible as a brilliant blue beacon among his forces. The ground trembled under their charge, a sound like thunder that never ended. "All units, this is command," Elena spoke into the neural link. "Remember, they're faster and stronger, but they've never faced an enemy that thinks as one. Use that. Make every shot count. Make every death meaningful." The human forces moved with an eerie coordination that had confused the Zephyrians throughout the war. Where alien tactics relied on individual prowess and dominance displays, humans fought like a single organism. When one soldier fell, 5 others immediately adjusted to fill the gap. When a Zephyrian breakthrough threatened to shatter their lines, humans would surge from unexpected angles, turning strength against itself. Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled through the link. "Alpha team engaging the left flank. They're trying to separate us from the ridgeline." "Acknowledged. Bravo team, shift 200 meters south. Charlie team, prepare overlapping fire corridors." Elena responded, her consciousness touching each tactical decision across the battlefield simultaneously. The battle raged for 6 hours. Elena watched through the eyes of a dozen soldiers as humans and Zephyrians clashed in brutal close combat. Private Hassan drove his plasma lance through a warrior's chest, even as alien claws raked across his ribs. Sergeant Kim used a dying Zephyrian's body as a shield while she positioned a quantum mine. Corporal Ahmed threw himself on an alien grenade spore, saving his squad at the cost of his own life. But slowly, inevitably, human adaptability began to tell. The Zephyrians fought with passion and strength, but they fought as individuals. When their formations broke, they stayed broken. When their leaders fell, confusion spread through their ranks like a virus. The great Alpha himself still commanded the center, his roars audible even through the chaos. He had personally killed dozens of humans, but Elena noticed something through the shared consciousness of her soldiers. His movements were becoming predictable. Pattern recognition, humanity's secret weapon, was working its magic. "Sniper Team 7, do you have a clean shot on the Great Alpha?" Elena queried. "Negative, Command. Too much interference from his guard formation." Elena made a decision that would haunt her for the rest of her life. "All units, execute Protocol Omega. Draw them in." Protocol Omega was a tactical withdrawal, so convincing that it appeared to be a complete rout. Humans scattered across the battlefield, abandoning positions they had held for hours. The Zephyrians, sensing victory, abandoned their careful formations and charged forward in a wild pursuit. And that's when Sniper Team 7 took their shot. The Great Alpha fell without a sound, his massive form crashing to the alien soil like a toppled monument. The psychological effect on his forces was instantaneous and devastating. These beings, who had fought with such coordination, suddenly found themselves leaderless on foreign ground, surrounded by an enemy that had appeared beaten just moments before. The remaining Zephyrians surrendered within an hour. Elena stood in the command center as reports flooded in, casualty figures, prisoner counts, damage assessments, but all she could think about was the look of shock in the Great Alpha's eyes as he fell, the realization that his people had just lost their first and last interstellar war. "Ma'am," Torres said quietly, "what are your orders regarding the prisoners?" Elena stared at the tactical display, watching as human medics moved among wounded Zephyrians, providing the same care they gave their own soldiers. Standard protocol: medical treatment, dignified internment, and preparation for repatriation to designated reserves. "The Galactic Council is requesting a full debrief on human combat effectiveness," Torres added. Elena nodded absently. Soon the story would spread across human space. How 8,000 humans had defeated 14,000 of the galaxy's most formidable warriors. The story would be told in 1,000 variations, each one adding to humanity's growing reputation as the species that won impossible wars. But Elena knew the truth that would never make it into the official reports. The Zephyrians hadn't lost because they were inferior. They had lost because they had never learned to fight as one people. They were magnificent warriors individually, but humanity had become something else entirely, a species that thought collectively while acting individually. Years later, when Elena retired to a teaching position at the Colonial War College, her students would ask her about the secret to human military success. She would tell them about adaptation, about coordination, about turning weaknesses into strengths. What she never told them was that sometimes winning meant being the only one left to remember the battle. The Zephyrians were relocated to preserve worlds, their warrior culture carefully maintained but forever separated from the stars they might have claimed. Their children would grow up knowing they had once been conquerors, but never quite remembering why they had stopped. History, Elena had learned, was written by the survivors, and humanity had become very good at surviving. In the end, no one remembered the losers, except those who had been responsible for creating them. Elena carried that weight until her final day, knowing that somewhere among the stars, the children of fallen warriors were learning to be something other than what they were born to be. That, perhaps, was the most human victory of all, not just defeating an enemy, but ensuring they lived to become something new.